So in our last video here, we covered what to do when lash biz is slow. So this is like more dealing with a cyclical, more seasonal thing. And so I wanted to do a video just to cover some things on what you can do when you are building your clientele, because that's a little bit different of a strategy than if there's like a seasonal or a cyclical slowness in the lash industry that you're dealing with. First things first, it depends whether you're going to be working for yourself or working within a salon. So if you work in a salon, there's a lot of benefits to partnering that are obviously going to get you clientele way faster. They already have an established clientele and a base. It's going to be much faster usually for you to build, depending on how ambitious you are. So usually there's going to be a contract involved with this because the salon or studio is investing a lot of time, resources in you, and that's normal. And you want to see that, because if the salon or studio doesn't, it means that they might not be very established or professional. That might not be the best situation to be in either. So expect some sort of a formal contract when you are entering into a situation like that. And I do recommend that you honor that contract, because when it comes down to it, karma is really a real thing in the industry, but also just in life. And so when you operate in this industry with integrity, you will gain respect. And it's just really not worth burning bridges over little things like that. You want to be authentic in your interactions and really honest and transparent building these relationships. It's just not worth burning all these bridges for a temporary gain, because it's in the long run not going to work out well for you. So let's fast forward to what's a little bit more difficult, and what most of you are going to be probably doing is trying to build your own clientele in your own home-based or studio business. So the first thing you're going to want to do is set up a portfolio. And the best way to do it is to get a really good phone or something like that. iPhone's great. And start taking pictures, before and after photos of all your clients for sure. So what if you don't have any clients? You're starting at ground zero. You cannot necessarily just expect people to start paying you from the get-go. Experience is more valuable, and building that word of mouth for clientele is more valuable than a couple bucks in the beginning. And so really, when I first started out, I just put up on social media. I told anyone who would listen that I would literally go to their house, set up everything, do their lashes for free. Then I would obviously take those photos and use them in my portfolio, and just to make sure my times were down and to build my skill set. So I did that for free, driving around to random people's houses that I did not even know, doing their lashes for free. You gotta grind sometimes. If you want to build faster, you have to be willing to do things like that. So if you're not willing to do things like that, that's fine. You don't need to, but it's probably just gonna be a little slower for you to build that clientele and to grow your skill set and your business. Asking family and friends to do their lashes, that's a great start. As soon as you start building up your portfolio though, you're gonna wanna at least charge a product fee. I would definitely recommend something like 40 bucks or something, and then go up from there once you start getting busier. But in the beginning, you just have to be humble and really ask for that experience, ask for those referrals from those people that you are doing for possibly free. And that's gonna build your clientele faster and get you those valuable portfolio photos. So once you have those portfolio photos, what are you gonna do with them? Number one, you wanna get yourself on Google listings. Inside the Google listings, as shown here, you can put photos of your work. And that's really important, because Google is one of the first places people are gonna search. So they'll search, like for example, in our town, Nelson, BC lashes, and this will come up. When someone sees that, that's how they're gonna base their choice of where they're going to go. They're gonna look at your portfolio. Lots of people don't put the pictures in Google, but I think that's very valuable. So get yourself on Google first, and then definitely Instagram. So Instagram is the best visual platform, in my opinion, to really have yourself on. So get your Instagram profile going in your portfolio, and make sure that you're putting those pictures up that show your work. And not only that, but you can also share reviews onto Instagram, and that's also going to build your credibility in the marketplace and interest with that. So make sure though that you're not just doing this for no reason. Make sure you have a call to action on your posts, and also in your Google listing, and inside of your Instagram portfolio. You want to make sure that you have a link to a booking site. An online booking site is preferable, or just a mentioning of how they can get in touch with you, because if you don't have that, then people are just going to be a little bit confused. It's really good to mention your town too, because you will get a lot of people running by your Instagram portfolio and they might not know where you're located. So in a lot of instances, people won't take the time to DM you. So just skip past that and make sure that you have it in your name. So for example, you'll see I don't have my personal name or my business name in my Instagram profile. I have a searchable phrase. And so if you're starting out, I'd recommend, like, if you're a lash extension artist. So for example, if you live in Nelson, BC, like I do, maybe Nelson, BC lash artist is a good thing, because, or Nelson lashes. You want to think of what your client or potential client or customer is going to be searching for in the search bar of Instagram, because that is how you're going to get found. So once you have done that, once you've maximized your Google listing and your Instagram listing, obviously you're going to want to start getting those reviews happening, building trust with clientele. So every time you do a service, especially if it's a free service, ask for a review and make sure that that's posted on your Google reviews. It also gives you an idea of how your client is liking your service, and that is very valuable as well. So once you have that set up, you have some reviews happening on Google, you have lots of pictures happening on Instagram, maybe some reviews shared there too. You have your online booking set up. You want to go ahead and also be promoting with word of mouth. When you're talking to someone, it's not uncommon if you're meeting someone to be like trying to check out their profile on Instagram. Like, hey, let's keep connected. Can I add you on my Instagram? So add them on your business Instagram. And that way you get automatic little entry to like segue into talking about what you do without sounding too self-promotional, right? It's boring when you're just bringing it up and talking about yourself too much. So you really want to just kind of let people know what you're doing without going overboard with talking about it forever. And that's a great way of staying in touch with that person and building a little bit of a friendship, and also spreading the word about your business indirectly. So another great thing to do is talk to friends and family, ask them to share or promote. And a really great way to do that is with a referral card. So when we were first starting at Elevate, and we still do this sometimes, like when we have new artists, right now we don't really need to promote for services. We're so lucky that way. But referral cards are so good. So a referral card, we just had a simple referral card that was like 10% off your visit. So anyone who got this card could bring it in and get 10% off. And on the back of this card, we wrote numbers that are like little codes, and they would correspond to either a client or a family member or something. And then we would give them something in exchange for the referral. So sometimes like as much as 20% off for each referral for that client. So if they refer 5 people, they get a service for free. And that's really motivating, but also keeps them coming back to you as well and building a good business. It's in their best interest for you to succeed, right? Because if you don't do good and you don't build your clientele, they're enjoying your service and you're not making any money, they know you're not going to stay in this industry. So rely on the people who are your anchors in your business, the people that you love to serve already, because they will really help you and they will advocate for you, because they want you to succeed. Because when you succeed, it means you're going to stay in the industry and you're going to be there for a while, and they're going to be able to take advantage of your services for longer. So word of mouth and using a referral system is, in my opinion, one of the cornerstones of, if you're not doing it and you're not fully booked, what are you doing? So partnering also with other beauty professionals is a great thing. So as a beauty professional, it's a good idea, go out and get some services, and that will give you the opportunity to talk about your business, spread the word a little bit more, even volunteer to do services for free, especially on other people in the industry that might be influential or that you really respect. So finding that person who is in the industry, but not necessarily in a directly competing industry with you, is where the magic is at. Because we all know sometimes things can get a little bit competitive, but honestly, that's more so when you're new. Because when you're established, you have the confidence to know that you've already made your name, you're already well established, you already know your skills are up to par, so you're a lot less insecure. So reaching out to someone who is in that established position, where they are not looking necessarily to build their clientele, that's also a really safe move that might produce a lot of good results for you, because that person likely is going to be in a spot like myself where they're interested in becoming a mentor in the industry, and they're not just looking to build more clientele necessarily. They're more like into giving back and nurturing the industry as well. Either someone who is established, who will act as a mentor for you, or someone who is in a non-competing section of the beauty industry that can also cross-promote with you, or just develop that friendship where you guys can support each other, is a really great scenario. And so to find that relationship, sometimes you gotta give them a little bit of incentive to come and get to know you, because they are probably busy themselves. And also, no one wants to be referring their clients to someone else if they don't know that they can bring it, right? So you got to show them that you have the skills and that you have the attitude that their clientele is going to gel with too, because then they will feel comfortable sharing you as a great recommendation to enhance their client's experience, rather than gambling on you and whether you're going to show up for the appointments, whether you're going to do a good job, whether you're going to have a great attitude that's going to match the clientele that they already have. So build good habits. This is another good thing. Make sure that you are nurturing these relationships that you're building. When you have a client come in, make sure you have an incentive for them to rebook that appointment, especially in the beginning when you're not busy. Clients aren't incentivized by your busy schedule to rebook. They just see a bunch of empty spots. So there's no incentive for them to go in and pre-book for months in advance when they know they can just slide in there last minute. So having a pre-booking special is a really great idea, or something similar to that, to encourage them to pre-book their appointment before they leave the salon or before a certain time online, so that you know what your schedule is going to be coming up, but also so you don't have a bunch of people trying to book into your schedule last minute. It also doesn't look that great to have like a super empty schedule, even if you do have a couple of clients, right? You want to make sure that people know that you are a little bit booked and you are getting busier. So give them the incentive to pre-book their appointments, and they will. And then eventually, when you get busy enough, you don't need to have that promotion anymore. People will pre-book on their own accord because they don't want to miss out. So that's where you want to be. But until you're there, you might need to put an incentive in place to get yourself to that point. Finally, I would encourage you to get personal with your clients. This is a little bit controversial because lots of people will say, don't get personal. There are things you should not be personal about. Like, you don't want to be, this is not a therapy session for you. This is not about you dumping on your client about how your shitty boyfriend cheated on you and you're kicked out of your house or whatever. You want to keep everything really positive from your perspective, because we're having a positive energy exchange with this client, right? So you do want to be personal and authentic, but you don't want to dump all your negative stuff that may or may not be happening in your life. But making that connection with your client is going to be awesome for you. It's going to make it way more interesting for you, way more special for you to be servicing these clients and being a part of their happiness and following them through their life and being able to support them through the different things that happen in their life as a friend, not just a lash tech or a brow artist. So do go ahead and make these connections. And I know it's so hard when you're first beginning because you are slow, you're having a hard time just keeping up with like the service and getting your times right and not screwing up that way. And you don't want your client to talk maybe because then they move and it takes you longer. But there's a fine line between whether you're doing a good job and whether you are providing an experience for the client that is going to make them keep coming back. And you have to do both, but you have to balance them, right? So if you do that excellent job and you just tell your client they can't talk because you want to be fast and do a great job, that's okay. But when it comes down to it, they don't have that relationship with you. That means that next time they need a fill or something and you're not available, it's so much easier for them to just go down the street because you don't have that connection with them and you haven't built it and you haven't really put yourself out that way. So very important to balance this. And what I recommend, especially when you're starting out, is start with conversation. Make sure you should know, how is that client's day going? What are they up to? This also helps you coach for retention with your appointment. So you should always know what's the rest of their day looking like. But what's going on in their life, you really should know, like, I guess the top 5 things about that person, like where do they work? That also is really important for retention coaching. What are their hobbies and activities? Also really important for retention coaching, for lash retention, and all those kind of things. So if you're not asking these questions, if you don't know anything about your clients, you're not going to get great lash retention from your clients, and they're not going to have a great experience, because 70% of what happens with retention and lash retention is what happens when they leave the door of your studio. So if you don't know anything about their life, which is what you would know if you built that relationship, then you are also going to have problems with your clients having bad retention, and then they are not going to want to come back to you, and they are not going to leave you great reviews. So building this relationship is really important. So my recommendation, start the appointment with some friendly conversation. Make sure you know how their day's going. About 20 to 30 minutes of conversation goes really quickly if you are really interested and invested in what that client is doing and building that friendship. So 20 to 30 minutes of talking, and then you can let it peter out. You can even change to a slower music that's a little bit more relaxing, and that client will usually start sleeping at that point, or just like have a little relaxation. And by that time, you've already done your coaching for retention and establishing that relationship. And it also will make the appointment go way faster for you and keep you engaged with what you're doing. So sometimes lashing can be a little monotonous, especially if you're doing back-to-back clients.